We get ready to begin. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District, North Baton Rouge Chamber of Commerce, and the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to welcome you to the 2024 North Baton Rouge Collaborative Mayor Forum, Moving Forward Together. We are excited to have you all here tonight as we engage with our local candidates and hear their visions and future for Baton Rouge and specifically for the North Baton Rouge community. Just a few housekeeping announcements. This is a nonpartisan event, so we're not here to endorse any particular candidate tonight, but we are here to listen to their vision for Baton Rouge. This forum will be live streamed on Southern University System's website. Please make sure that your phones are on silent. If you need any assistance, we have our amazing volunteers here to help. If you need any water or anything, could I get our Southern University volunteers to raise their hands real quick or stand up for us? Thank you so much for assisting with us tonight. We do have on-site voter registration is available in the back with Power Coalition. So if anyone needs to register, please see the Power Coalition table in the back. And if you do happen to take any photos, of course, please, we encourage you to use the hashtag North Baton Rouge Mayor Forum in your photo. Now I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge some very important individuals and organizations. The board members of our organizations, the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. If anyone from our board is here tonight, could you please stand? I would like to acknowledge our board chair, Dr. Eugene Johnson and Rodney Braxton. The North Baton Rouge Chamber of Commerce board members, if any of you are here tonight, please stand and wave. Out there in the back. Lacey Sherman, of course, our board president. And the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce board members, if you are in the audience, please stand and wave. There they are on the side. And our board president, Lakeisha Robichaux, is there in the back. Thank you for being here tonight. We also would like to thank our committee chairs for helping organize this event. So could you please stand? Thank you so much for your support. They're outside. They're outside at the table. Thank you. And we would also like to recognize any elected officials, not those that are running, but any elected officials that are here in the room tonight, besides our current mayor. Thank you so much. And all of our volunteers, thank you again for your support. Now I'd like to take a moment to thank a few of our sponsors: Fidelity Bank, Power Coalition, Chief of Minds, Alpha Phi Alpha, Beta Iota Lambda Chapter, KQP Media, Lena's Parlenes, and the National Association of Women for sponsoring this event tonight. But one particular sponsor I would like to make sure that we acknowledge is Southern Strategy tonight. Their incredible work with advocacy and policy development and governmental relations, we could not do this without you, so thank you so much. Southern Strategy Group plays a critical role in shaping policy and advocating for positive changes across Louisiana, and it's largely thanks to their support that we're able to host this forum tonight. At the helm of Southern Strategy Group is Mr. Rodney Braxton, A true leader in both the public and private sector, Rodney has been an active participant in policy development for years, serving in various high level governmental roles, including Assistant Chief of Staff at the former Governor Mike Foster's office and the Associate Commissioner of Governmental Relations for the Louisiana Board of Regents. Rodney's career spans public service and law, and he continues to give back through his involvement in various community organizations such as the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, the Malcolm Jenkins Foundation. And in 2022, he was honored as the UNO 25 honoree, recognizing his outstanding leadership in business and public service. Thank you so much, Rodney, for all your support that you do for our community. So, Rodney, thank you for your work. Now we would like to hear a few words from you. So, Rodney Braxton.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Rodney Braxton. I'm very happy to be here and help to make sure that this forum for North Baton Rouge economic development issues could be held this evening. But my real task um, is besides allowing you to engage with your leaders and my leadership in terms of working various boards in the Baton Rouge community, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce the moderator for this issue, and that would be Chancellor John Pierre. He's the leader of Southern University's Baton Rouge campus, a key economic engine and asset in North Baton Rouge. And under his leadership, Southern University continues to drive economic growth, academic excellence, and community engagement in the region. Chancellor Pierre has a long history of leadership, having previously served as Chancellor of the Southern University Law Center. His career spans decades of dedication to education, civil rights, and public service. And I just want to add my own personal to that, because in my day job with Southern Strategy Group, we represent Southern University down at the Capitol. And when we want to get something done, and we want to make sure that the right information is delivered and with enthusiasm and to take on a difficult project, we call Chancellor Pierre. He always stands up, is innovative, and delivers. And have been pleased to be working with him over the last, 14 years now, Chancellor. But anyway, without further ado, I want you to join me in welcoming Chancellor John Pierre.
Good evening. Welcome to Southern University. Welcome to the Vaudry Center. And this place is really special because it is as a result of two Southern University alums, Leon and Warren Vaudry, who are great philanthropists. And we're so honored to have you here to be part of this forum. We realize that civic engagement is extremely important for our students, for our community members, and Southern University has always been a place where knowledge is shared and where everyone is encouraged to participate in the democratic process. I encourage each and every one of you to take time to hear what is said tonight, share it with others. When you stay informed and engaged, you can shape the future of North Baton Rouge and beyond. Now it is my honor to introduce tonight's moderator, our very own political science professor, Dr. Eugene Johnson. Dr. Johnson has been a cornerstone of the Southern University community, and I am honored to have him lead tonight's discussion. Dr. Johnson.
How y'all doing this evening? All right. It feels great to be standing here in front of this beautiful crowd. So, good evening, everyone. As Chancellor Pierre just stated in his introduction, I am Dr. Eugene Lee Johnson, Assistant Professor of Political Science at Southern University and the Board Chair of Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. Tonight, I will be serving as your moderator. Tonight's Mayor President Candidate Forum is brought to you by a host of North Baton Rouge organizers, consisting of the Baton Rouge Black Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District, and the North Baton Rouge Chamber of Commerce. So tonight, candidates for mayor will gather to discuss their visions and plans for our city's future. This pivotal event, which you are an integral part of, offers a unique opportunity for community members to hear directly from the candidates and participate in shaping the priorities and strategies that will guide Baton Rouge generally and North Baton Rouge specifically in the coming years. We aim to provide you with clear understanding of each candidate's vision and empower you to make an informed decision. Now, regarding tonight's rules, first, I would like to make sure that all audience members silence their cell phones. So please take a moment to check and silence your cell phones. The forum is structured as an opportunity for each candidate to share their views on various topics. We are having a candidate forum and not a candidate debate tonight. In tonight's forum, each candidate will be asked the same questions and get equal time to respond. The focus is on providing clear, uninterrupted answers to help the audience understand their positions. There's no back and forth discussion between candidates during a forum. It's more about information sharing than confrontation. It's an organized, respectful platform where voters can learn about each candidate's vision without direct challenges from opponents. This format ensures fairness and integrity. Each candidate will be given 90 seconds to respond to a question tonight. To help them manage their time effectively, they will receive a notification when they have 30 seconds left and another at 15. The questions will be presented in a round-robin style so that each candidate gets to start a round first. This ensures each candidate gets a fair opportunity to speak while maintaining the event schedule. Now, we are on to the candidate introductions, and then we shall officially begin. As I call your name, please come take your seat on the stage. Audience, please hold your applause until the end. First, we have Ryan Bad Business Carter running as an independent. Mr. Carter is running for mayor. He's a Baton Rouge native that graduated from Southern University with a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communication. Mr. Carter is an IT professional, and before running for mayor president of Baton Rouge, he served as a truck driver and a professional wrestler. Mr. Carter has battled homelessness, and that battle is what has led to his running for mayor president. Mr. Carter's campaign platform states that he wants to improve the employee BR process and reduce homelessness in the greater Baton Rouge area. Mr. Ryan Bad Business Carter. Yes, sir. Next, we have Coach Emil Sid Edwards running as a Republican. Much like our potential Vice President Tim Walsh, Coach Sid is an educator and football coach. Born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and a graduate of Redemptorist High School in 1981. Coach Sid has dedicated his life to serving our community. His commitment to the people of Baton Rouge is unwavering, and he eagerly accepts the challenge of the office of mayor president. Coach Sid has spent time on sidelines at Redemptorist, Jesuit in New Orleans, Menard in Alexandria, and Central High School. He currently serves as the Dean of Students and head football coach at Estruma High. Coach Sid, the winningest coach in the capital area with a record of 194 wins to 87 losses, has shown his leadership on the sidelines since he entered coaching at the age of 16. And he is now looking to show that same leadership as your mayor. Coach Sid, y'all. Next, we have Edward Ted James running as a Democrat. A graduate of McKinley High, he attained his Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from Southern University, where he also became a Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity member. He then obtained his Juris Doctorate with honors from the Southern University Law Center, where he also served as the president of the Student Bar Association. Upon being admitted into the Louisiana Bar, Ted began his career working in the office of Governor Kathleen Babineau Blanco, where he actively engaged in policy reform efforts to establish affordable housing across Louisiana. Before being elected to represent District 101 of the Louisiana House of Representatives, Mr. James served as staff attorney for the House. After being reelected twice in 2015 and 2019, Mr. James resigned from his seat to accept President Joe Biden's appointment as the Region 6 Administrator for the U.S. Small Business Administration. He oversaw the administration's operations in Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. Now Ted, a native son, is home and vying to be your mayor. Ted James. I would like to note that Steve Myers was supposed to be here, but he had a family incident, so he sent his best wishes. I also would like you to send your best wishes to him. Next, we have William Champagne Roundtree running as an independent. Champagne Roundtree, a graduate of Walker High, has been in property management for 5 years, handling a client portfolio of $450 million. She has seen some of the city's biggest issues firsthand and believes not enough has been done to address them. Roundtree wants to make sure the city gets back to doing things together. In doing this, Champagne wants to bring issues with government response times and city maintenance to light. Roundtree has also advocated for LGBTQIA plus issues in Baton Rouge. Champagne has a very diverse platform, and if elected, she wants to make sure the diversity in Baton Rouge is appreciated and uplifted. Champagne Roundtree, y'all. And lastly, we have our current mayor president, Sharon Weston Broome, a Democrat. Mayor Broome brings a wealth of experience to her role. With a BA in Mass Communications from the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse and an MA in Communications from Regent University, Mayor Broome has served as an adjunct instructor at the Manship School of Mass Communication at Louisiana State University, BRCC, and Southern University. In addition, she was a reporter for 5 years for WBRZ-TV, the Baton Rouge ABC affiliate. Before her current position, Broome served as a Metro Council member, a Louisiana State Representative of District 29, and the Louisiana State Senator of District 15. Her tenure in the legislature was marked by significant achievements, including becoming the first woman to hold the leadership position of pro tem in the House and Senate. Her competence and dedication to public service are evident in her many accomplishments, and she is vying to win a third term. Mayor Sharon Weston Broome. Now we will get into the questions, officially starting this event. The first question is on job preparation. How are you preparing for this job as mayor president? In preparing for the responsibilities of mayor, what specific research and steps have you taken to understand the complexities of the role? Can you share any particular areas of the city's operations or challenges where you've already begun formulating strategies or consulting with experts to ensure you're ready to lead effectively from day one? This question will start with Mr. Ryan Carter.
Can y'all hear me now? There we go. All right. Well, first and foremost, this is a learning experience for me, to say the least. It's a very, very, very big task. I did not see myself ever being up here, but I am very blessed, and I am doing everything I can to prepare for that. I'm with the people every day. I am of the people. I was just recently on the bus. I'm in the homeless shelter. I reside at the Salvation Army. So I speak to the people every day. I work in health and hospital systems. I do IT work, so I'm always in and out of businesses. I'm with the everyday people, and they don't get more everyday than being right at Cat's bus terminal on Florida. That's the whole everyday people. So um, that's the best preparation I can give, is that I'm somebody who looks like them. I'm somebody who is easily identifiable, who relates to them. So that's my preparation.
Okay, thank you. Coach Sid?
Well, when I got into this race, one of the big questions I had to ask is, can I do this job? So I started doing some research and asking questions, and I had been, paying attention over the years. And the answer that I came up with after some studying was absolutely 100% yes. Okay, it takes a lot of love and a lot of common sense. Now, I know there's some technical things in it also. So I started studying, what do you have to do? How does this work? Who does this in the city? How does this go, and everything else? What's prepared me to take on this role is I am a leader, I am a healer, and I am a turnaround specialist. I've done it my whole career, mainly right here in the '05 is where I've been, almost my entire life. But as a football coach, when you're building a team, it's the same deal. You have to hire people, you have to put people in the right spots, the right seats on the bus. Well, as a football coach, I have to hire an OC. The OC I currently have is a lot smarter than me at calling offensive plays. I have to hire a defensive coordinator. I have to hire a special team coordinator. I have to hire the weight room guy and the fundraiser. So it's putting the right team together. Now, make no mistake about it, I'm the head coach. I'm looking forward to being the head coach of Baton Rouge. But I'm prepared to put an excellent team together. Thank you.
Could you please pass the mics down? Thank you.
Which one did I got yours.
Ted?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to all of the organizers. I think in preparing has been my lifelong commitment to public service, working with mayors across not just this state, but across the 4 states that I work with the SBA. In preparing for this, it's monitoring city council meetings that we do very often. I've worked with members of the council and both of our current and our previous mayoral initiatives, and studying the budget. Chief among those things is how to build a very strong small business economy here in East Baton Rouge Parish. That requires working with 2 specific entities. Number one, Employee BR, and make sure that they are not as compliance driven, but make sure that they're more service driven. And the other entity is with the Baton Rouge Area Chamber, visionary leadership. And one of the things that I think we should start working towards is our own either an economic development professional in the mayor's office or an economic development team. Now that will require us to look at our upcoming budget and different challenges that we face. But that is, chief among one of the reasons that I'm running, and one of the things that we are going to look into once we are sworn in next year. Thank you.
Champagne?
5 years ago when I first opened my company, I was told I was crazy for even thinking I was going to make it a year. Now I manage a $450 million portfolio. I plan to do the same thing for Baton Rouge. I've looked, I've gone, I've spoken to the citizens, I've seen what you want, I've heard your request, I know what you need. You need infrastructure such as roads that are actually capable of getting people to and from where they're going in this city. You need new businesses in the North Baton Rouge corrugate. I've already started working with people such as Target, Chick-fil-A, and all of them to take over the old Earl K. Long. I've also started revamping and looking into putting in new mental health hospitals. Not just these clinics that we have around town, but some actual hospitals where we can actually get help to where our people don't end up in the parish prison as criminals just because they have a mental illness. It's time we actually work together as a community and revamp and rethink this whole thing and say, hey, just because they got St. George doesn't mean we can't make North Baton Rouge even better than they have. Because together, if we all work together, we've got the people over here because we've got the heart. And I know with all of us, we can do it together. And all I ask is that y'all give me the chance on November the 5th to give you exactly what you're asking for.
Mayor Broom?
I have had the great privilege and honor to serve in public service. I often think of it as a call to public service. And it started actually at the Metro Council, and then from there to the Louisiana State House of Representatives, and from there to the State Senate. And I will tell you, after my term in the State Senate, I was at a crossroads in terms of what I was going to do. And I decided that there was still some public service left in me, and I would offer myself up for mayor president. And I have to tell you that when I assumed the role after I was elected of mayor president, I had to hit the ground running because we were a community in trauma. We had just experienced the killing of Alton Sterling, the tragic killing of our police officers in the ambush. And so I immediately went to work bringing our police and citizens together. Then, of course, beyond that, we had the Great Flood of 2016. So I will tell you, since I have been mayor president, every issue that we have faced over the past 8 years, I have had a corresponding action. And I look forward to sharing those actions with you this evening.
Thank you. Our next question will be on infrastructure, and we will be starting with Coach Sid. Coach Sid, in a recent article, you just stated that on your way to work, you always see trash and blight on the corners. And those things lead to issues in the communities like what happened to a football player of yours who was 15 years old and who were murdered. So as it pertains to infrastructure, what specific infrastructure improvements are needed in Baton Rouge to enhance transportation, public services, and overall quality of life? And how will your administration prioritize and effectively fund these projects?
Well, it's certainly a problem. I have two vehicles that both run kind of halfway. So one of them don't have air conditioning. So the traffic deal going down Airline Highway or whatever. It's tough enough to sit in it for an hour and a half than try it without air. So I'm aware, like every other citizen, of those issues. And you brought it up about my football player. I think it's all intertwined. Everything. The crime, the homelessness, the blight, everything that goes into it. And I'm gonna take this opportunity now to tell you about that young man, 22 on the AC2, beautiful kid walking down Evangeline Street amongst the blight, and was murdered. We had to put that young man in the ground. That was on January 1st. And it's a big reason of why I'm sitting up here today, one of the many reasons. But the trash and all that, the trap houses that are in Baton Rouge, the hideouts where these drug dealers and prostitution takes place. I think there's over 6,000 blighted properties in the parish. And I know there's a process, but at the end of the day, you got to knock them down. Those things got to go. So I just think there's a lot. And you know where most of it's at? Take a look when you drive home tonight. It's right here. It's in this community. Okay, where most of it's at. Don't get me wrong, it's everywhere, but mostly here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
Same question.
Yes, sir.
I think number one, it takes a priority shift. It takes a priority shift in the dollars that have already been allocated to infrastructure to ensure that they are allocated to the areas in greater need. The second thing it's going to take is collaboration with not just the council members, but our legislative delegation and the other 4 mayors of this parish to make sure that we are collectively spending a lot of time in the state capitol, pulling down additional resources for those larger projects. You take that same approach with our members of Congress to take advantage of the $1.3 trillion that the Congress has approved in terms of infrastructure. Infrastructure, we think roads, bridges. We also have to think broadband. I spend a lot of time up at Northeast High School. There are some days when those young people can't use the internet, right? Infrastructure is not just roads and bridges, but the most collective thing and the most important thing that we need to do is identify and prioritize those, number one, parish-wide problems and issues, and then some of the surface streets that we all know right now. Coach has talked about it. Many of you are going to leave here and drive on some of those streets, reprioritizing the programs that we already have today to make sure that they are hitting the communities in most need.
Thank you. Champagne?
You know, one of the funny things is you said public transportation. I've been waiting on Baton Rouge to get a public transportation for 20 years. We sat here and we said that we were going to give cats all our tax dollars, so everybody whose home's valued at $500,000 or less, not the wealthy, just the middle class and the poor, we should be supporting a system that doesn't work for us. I shouldn't have a mother out there taking a 3-hour commute to work, then turn around, work 8 hours in 3 hours home. She's got children to get home to. I have friends that ride this bus, and I know it's doing this. Together BR was supposed to be watching our tax dollars. I haven't seen Together watching anything. I've seen the bus get worse and worse. We buy used buses every year and tell people we're buying new buses. I've been to the CATS meetings. I've also been to all the other societies. I've also seen where we want our community to grow, but how hard is it to get a permit over at the permit office? Anybody ever tried that? They can't tell you what they want for a permit, but they can tell you to bring this, 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 and this, and then when you bring this, then you need to bring this, 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 and this. We have to fix the smaller structures that are going on. We have Metro Council people who are not taking care of their areas, because if they was taking care of their areas, they would have streetlights that worked. We have to hold them accountable the same as we hold any of us on this stage accountable. And until we're able to do this, this city won't get any better.
Thank you. Mayor Broom?
Well, with your help, in 2018, we passed the largest infrastructure project in the history of Baton Rouge, Move EBR, 72 projects that are going to be equitably distributed throughout this city and parish. And we've already started the work on many of those projects right here in North Baton Rouge. If you look in the Banks area, you can see work that's done there. You saw recently we broke ground on Plank Road. And when I talk about Plank Road, I just can't talk about, of course, the road that's going to be changed, but I also have to talk about it as the Plank Road Corridor project. Because as I heard conversations around transportation, we recently broke ground for the bus rapid transit system, which is going to start on Airline Highway and then come down Plank Road. This is going to be certainly a more efficient way for citizens to travel all the way to the new facility, perhaps of Amazon, where we have created 1,400 jobs. So I believe that we are on a good trajectory as it relates to our roads, our infrastructure, our light synchronization that will totally transform Baton Rouge, not just right now, but for years to come.
Thank you, Mayor Broom. Mr. Carter?
All right. Well, I was homeless, carless, and jobless the last 2 years. I got 2 of the 3. I got a job and I got my wheels back a couple of weeks ago. But I think I've been on that CATS bus terminal more than anybody probably in here. I've been sweating, been waiting, been upset, been late for work, had to call a lift, had to catch a ride, had to put my thumb out there. I ain't getting no luck, but still. That's a major issue, and we already have that airline bus already goes to Cortana. It's been going there it's been going to where Amazon is for the better half of 20 years. But just a more efficient schedule for sure. Now, as far as the roads, man, it ain't. I got my ride back, and then I'm driving down Scenic like, dang, I'm gonna have to put it back in the shop. Scenic or Plank, it's pretty bad. So definitely would be looking to get the ground breaking on that immediately before the ground breaks even more.
Thank you. Our next topic area will be revitalization, and we will be starting this question with Mayor Sharon Weston Broom. What strategies will you implement to revitalize a community affected by urban blight, poverty, and crime? And how can local stakeholders be engaged to ensure sustainable development and improvement?
Well, we have taken some very significant steps towards revitalization, and we've done that by helping to stand up affordable housing in North Baton Rouge. Housing units such as the Elm Grove housing unit, and now we're looking at other possibilities in North Baton Rouge on Prescott and in Melrose. So we have invested over $2 million for many of these affordable units, which are about almost 1,500 affordable units. So we know when you have housing that is a key catalyst for revitalization. So we're going to continue to pursue developers to provide these opportunities. But in addition to that, we know that when we have businesses such as Amazon, that contributes to revitalization as well. We now see Amazon as a catalyst for businesses coming down the Florida corridor, which is going to be another major development of revitalization. We see businesses certainly like Starbucks, and of course Raising Cane's is there, but they have expanded, and we're going to see an Aldi's there, another grocery store. And so revitalization certainly encompasses all of those.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Champagne.
You know, this is something I've actually spent a lot of time looking into because I'm one of those type of person, you can't put a problem on my desk and think that I'm not going to sit there and just work at it until I finally find an answer. If I can't find an answer, I'm going to go ask somebody. I've looked into our police department. Yes, I know our crime is high. The shopping center where the Harbor Freight is, that's mine. I deal with it every day when it takes 2 hours for an officer to respond there when I'm holding a shoplifter. Or when I've got a guy beat with an AK-47, it takes an hour and 45 minutes and I get one female officer to respond. I've asked the questions. I've been told, well, why don't you hire us for private detail? Because I'm paying you for tax dollars, that's why. It's time we revamp that entire police department. One police station in the center of the city is not cutting it. We need to make 15 to 16 small substations throughout this city. Those areas that have higher crime, we're going to stock those with so many police, you're going to hate them. Until this crime goes away, we're going to have to do that. Unfortunately, it is something that it's going to cost us, but you know what? In the end, we're going to have a better city for it. We've got to also revamp other areas. As I've said before, until we revamp everything and make everything fresh again, it's not going to happen. We've seen where our city tried to support 2 malls for years. It doesn't happen. You pick a different business. So we picked Amazon this time. Great. It's working for us. We work together until we find the solution as to what's going to fix every problem. We've got to fix the infrastructure of ditches. No one has dug a single ditch out since 2016 because I know I have tickets sitting on the table since 2017.
Thank you. Ted?
Can you restate the question?
Yes, sir. So the question is on revitalization. What strategies will you implement to revitalize a community affected by urban blight, poverty, and crime? And how can local stakeholders be engaged to ensure sustainable development and improvement?
The first thing we need to do is make sure that we are leading by example. We have too many properties in this parish owned by the city that are dilapidated. We take care of those first. The second thing we need to do is make sure we are a good steward of the dollars that we receive, particularly our HUD dollars. We have had a tradition over the past decade where we have not spent the right way those HUD dollars. We correct that by bringing in a professional grants coordinator that not only helps us to pull down grant dollars, but make sure we spend those the right way. The third thing that we do is work with all of the stakeholders, all of our housing professionals, our Metro Council, to develop a housing plan. We develop an interactive blight map separated by properties that have title issues and those properties that have clear title. Those properties that have clear title, we deploy those to the organizations that have money to make sure that they were putting those things back in commerce. Those properties that don't have clear title, we work with our legislative delegation because there may be a legislative fix to make sure that we, A, protect the property rights of people, but B, make sure we can quickly move those properties into commerce. It may even require specialty courts like some other communities are doing. The last thing that I think we could do in terms of revitalizing those communities that are invested in blight, that have too much blight, is make sure that we are addressing our Head Start program to make sure that those young people in those communities don't lead to a life of crime. making sure that a young person is in the early childhood seats reduces their ability to have an interaction with the criminal legal system by 20%. And we can't ignore that all of these issues drive crime from blight to early childhood as well.
Thank you, Coach Sid.
Imagine a 16-year-old in North Baton Rouge, 16 years old, and all their life, one of the major arteries that they're driving down is Plank Road. It's the same Plank Road from 16 years ago. I mean, Todd Graves threw a Raising Cane's out there. You have to knock down buildings. I mean, there's certain sections of that major artery through this city, okay, that have been there forever. There's a ton of places that are closed down. I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm not bad business. I'm not a super revitalized. You know, when you look at me, I'm not a pretty man. But the mayor's office, an outlet of the mayor's office, is going to be on Plank Road. I'm scouting out locations right now to put one of the offices right there. But these buildings got to be knocked down. If you look, many years ago, I might have even been a boy myself, a young man, when remember when Exxon bought a lot of properties off Scenic Highway for that buffer zone? If that area was maintained, it's a beautiful area. I think North Baton Rouge could become the country again, the peaceful country. And of course, you got to deal with the crime and all the other things that go on. But knocking these buildings down, if no one is going to go there and purchase and build a business, green space, community gardens, okay, all those things. And that's what I see for North Baton Rouge.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carter.
I like all of these ideas. Here's another one. When it comes to revitalization, what we have to realize is we have a lot of kids that are coming up in these neighborhoods, teenage age, about to enter young adulthood, that don't have a plan. No plan whatsoever. And we know an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So what I would do is I would get with a lot of these contractors. We got a lot of competition as far as contractors who do excellent jobs in this city. I would get with them and I would try to come up with some type of plan for apprenticeships, specifically for the young teenagers, young adults coming out of high school or around high school age, and let them know certain things, like when I hear on the radio, I'm tying this all together, by the way, but certain things I hear on the radio, like when I hear the kids say, my name is Jason and I'm from St. Michael and I'm warrior proud, St. Michael who just beat y'all. But when I hear that, I love that, because they're telling these kids that this is your community. So in 20, 30 years, they're gonna come back and they're gonna run that community. And I love that. That needs to happen right here too in North Baton Rouge, because we got the best and brightest right here at Scotlandville. So I would get with those contractors and I would say, hey, can we get some apprenticeship programs back into these schools for these young people, so they could be the ones that revitalize the blight.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, we're going to stay with you, and we're actually going to lead into an audience question. The audience had the opportunity to offer questions when they registered for this event. And the question is, as mayor, what would be your plan to bring together nonprofits, charitable organizations, local state agencies, political subdivisions, and church entities to meet community needs?
Oh, wow. Well, that's a big question, but I would say, first thing first, anybody, y'all can follow me on Facebook, Ryan Carter. In parentheses, it'll say bad business, but I'm actually good business. But I would get with a lot of these churches, these organization leaders, the people, the movers and shakers that really want to do something and see this city improve. It's so many people in there, even here. Like when I met you, I didn't know you were a professor here. So it's so many skilled people that are right up under us. So I'm impressed with whom I meet. I would get with them because they are the leaders. We would get together and have a specific type of plan for, we mentioned revitalization, but I'm more so geared towards the youth. Mm-hmm. Because we gotta attack where the crime is actually happening. That's a major issue. So I believe testimony can change a lot. Everybody, the elders like to preach to us a lot, but you can tell me about the word, but I need to know your testimony. What made you like that? And that gets to me. So that's what I would do. I would bring that to the forefront, and we would go from there.
All right, Coach Sid, same question. How would you bring together charitable organizations, state agencies, church entities, and political subdivisions to meet community?
Well, I think that the most important of all those is the church, the churches. We have many churches throughout the entire parish, but in particular here in North Baton Rouge, and they're very active. I know from my young men and women at Estruma, we have several of the churches that outreach. There's also a street team that comes to our school, and it is a big part. They got a pulse on the neighborhood. They got a pulse on what's going on. But to me, it's, and I'm sure these pastors have gotten together before, but look at the product you have to mold. Like, it's kind of like Play-Doh, man. Is we talking about the things in North Baton Rouge that we don't have. But we're sitting right now at the Southern University, which is in North Baton Rouge. The Baton Rouge Zoo, I know is kind of, in Baker, but that's North Baton Rouge. The airport, our airport is in North Baton Rouge. So look at the staples that are already here. And it's getting these organizations involved because people want to help. They are helping. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is the many pastors and the churches coming together. And I see it. It's not like that's not happening right now. It is happening. That's one of the positive things that is happening in the community. I just think it needs to be revved up and recruit more of those mentoring organizations.
Okay, Ted.
Yeah, I think that there's no shortage of organizations in this parish with the background, the intention to do well. As mayor president, I think there are two obligations. Number one, we have to have a collective strategy for those organizations to accomplish the goals that we want to see in this parish. Then I think that the second role is to grow the pie so that we have more resources for them to be able to deploy those resources. I saw when I worked at the Urban League, no shortage of organizations that wanted to send resources, philanthropic organizations to the Urban League. Way too often they wanted those resources to be deployed to New Orleans. So we have to go and tell our story as a parish to talk about the needs that are here. My job would be collectively with the leaders of those organizations, both nonprofit, faith-based, and quasi-governmental, is to deploy ourselves to those major organizations, those major philanthropic organizations, to tell the East Baton Rouge Parish story. So when those resources come to the state of Louisiana, they don't just stop down I-10. Then we have to make sure, and it may be someone in the Office of Community Development, or bring back something that the mayor's office had previously, an Office of Neighborhoods, that is the convener of all of those organizations, to make sure that we are strategically deploying the resources to make sure that we are addressing the critical needs in this parish.
Thank you. Champagne.
I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it probably to the day I die. It's on our money. It's on our Pledge of Allegiance. In God we trust, one nation under God. So, of course, I believe we need to get our churches back involved. I feel like our churches have gotten away from our students because nowadays everything's a game on a computer or something like that. I think we need to make rival teams with churches with football so that the kids actually get back into the church, so that they're focused more on church versus the crime that's out there. Because nowadays it's about vaping, it's about weed, it's about all the drugs they can get into. We tell our kids now at the age of 6 they control their emotions with a pill called Ritalin for ADD. We don't give them the whooping that they used to get when we were growing up. A lot of the problem is it's our parenting that's gotten out of hand. It's not anything else. We can blame right at home because our parents don't parent anymore. We're scared to spank our child, but they need it. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I think our organizations need to get more involved. I'm one of the ones who've advocated saying that also, the same as we had the Bayou Superfest for the country music thing, why can't we have a gospel fest? Let's turn Baton Rouge up into a gospel fest where it's an event that we don't have to worry about having the police there because it's nothing but a bunch of Christians coming together and having a good time as a community.
Thank you. Mayor Broom. And I'll repeat the question for you. Okay. What is the mayor's plan to bring together nonprofits, charitable organizations, local state agencies, and church entities to meet community needs?
Well, first of all, I think we are going to have a gospel fest real soon, so we'll look forward to that. But I will share with you that one of the things that I do as mayor president is that I do convene nonprofits. I do convene with our faith-based communities. In fact, I heard you, Coach, talk about talk about the street team, and actually, the street team is part of our Safe, Hopeful, Healthy initiative. So we are out in the community connecting and making a difference by connecting people with resources and intervening when there's the potential for criminal behavior. But certainly, the truth is that government cannot do it all alone. We have to have partnerships. And part of the fabric of this community is our nonprofits as well as our churches. And so recently, for example, we were able to partner with Greater King David and the YWCA in their effort to stand up housing for victims of domestic violence. We gave $1 million towards that effort, and now we've made a difference in the lives of a lot of women.
Thank you. So we're going to head into another audience question. And we're going to start with Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, you spoke about your platform kind of starting because you were homeless. And so the next question is, with the ongoing housing crisis, there's a Section 8 wait list, and then local shelters have no availability, and low-income housing is unavailable or in unsafe communities. What would be your plan to address these issues? Housing resources, homelessness, Section 8, and evictions.
Well, as far as housing resources, we have about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I just saw 2,400 plus homes on the market in Baton Rouge, and not even 1,000 homeless. You know, that seems to be the way around the nation, not just here, but where there's more homes on the market than what there actually is homeless people. So, as far as Section 8 and stuff like that, I would push for more of the income-based housing. That's something I would definitely do. I do know that that can have a negative connotation in certain neighborhoods, but we have to we have to be transparent with people. We got to be upfront and honest about rules. We have to be real strict with the rules that we put in when we do set something like that. Like, hey, look, we have opportunity for you, but we can't have loud music. We can't have such and such. We can't have domestic issues. We got to be very, very transparent about that because this is an opportunity. So I'm not just here to promote that bad side, but we got to be truthful. If hey, we got to let at least people know that there's an opportunity first. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Broom.
The question was about affordable housing and homelessness.
Yes, ma'am. What resources would you use to address housing resources, homelessness, Section 8, and evictions?
Well, first of all, to minimize evictions, we contributed $14 million to the ERAP program, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And that helped a lot of people prevent evictions, especially during COVID and post-COVID. And not only did it help the people who were renting, but it also helped the landlords in the process. So we have extended part of that program. But I would also say that we have contributed a great deal of money towards our homelessness initiative. I spoke with Jessica Lewis not long ago, who is our homelessness coordinator, and she told me that already that she has a plan in place in collaboration with the Louisiana Housing Authority to help house 200 homeless people within a year. So I think that is a very tangible plan that we will see come to fruition.
Champagne.
Well, as I've earlier stated, I actually work in property management, so I know a lot about this and I've seen it firsthand. I've seen where taxes in this city has doubled on commercial properties to where you want to know why people can't afford housing. This is why. These landlords are recouping their money somehow. When they got to pay $1,000 a door for an apartment complex versus $500 they paid last year, it's quite a jump and it's quite a slap in the face. I've heard the mayor currently speak about this ERAP. That is the biggest joke to me I've ever heard in my life. I didn't see people getting it that deserved it. I saw senior citizens getting put out because they couldn't get it, because the program took 5 and 6 months for you to get it and the landlord wasn't willing to wait. I saw teenagers, 19 years old, who got it because she was too lazy to go to work. That's a problem. It's not fairly done. The same as all these programs are not set up correctly. I don't want to see a teen mom out here with 5 kids wanting to get these programs while I'm watching a senior citizen over here living on $1,000 a month who can't pay their rent, who can't pay, they got to decide whether they're going to eat or pay the light bill. I've seen it far too often. The cost of living is not enough for these people. But yet our people in the community keep saying it's fine, and we just keep giving out ERAP programs like they're nothing. We're paying for these programs. These are tax dollars. So we can watch people live on unemployment that doesn't want to go to work.
Thank you. Ted?
I'll reiterate the need for a housing plan in East Baton Rouge Parish. I will also say that one of the things that other communities are doing different with some of their federal dollars, in addition to rental assistance, is down payment assistance. Mayors are using down payment assistance for first responders, teachers, government employees. That's an option that we need to address here in East Baton Rouge Parish. It will, of course, require us to pull down more resources from the federal government to be able to do that. I think that East Baton Rouge Parish, and this is a conversation that will start with the council and our legislators, should look towards having our own housing trust fund. Other communities are looking at establishing their own housing trust funds. We have one in the state of Louisiana. When I worked for Governor Blanco, this was way back in 2007, we invested $25 million in it. We haven't seen that large of an investment in the Louisiana Housing Trust Fund since way back then. So we have to have those level of that level of conversation. New Orleans is doing it right now. We have to do that to make sure that we are, number one, given the resources. Champagne talked about some of those slumlords that we have, right? We know that many of our neighbors are living in homes owned by people that don't live here. We have to get very aggressive on code enforcement to make sure that we are cracking down on those, because that will hopefully open up some housing opportunities for folks as well.
Coach Sid?
What an advantage it is to be last on the fields of questions, because you get to hear everybody what they're saying. So none of my friends up here have said anything different. All great stuff. So I'm going to use my little minute and a half to talk, about, in particular, homeless. And Ryan, I really want to meet with you. I can't wait to talk to you about it, because you don't know it until you're in it, right? But the thing is, with our homeless population, so many of them are mentally ill. There is mental illness on the streets. And way back when the general administration got rid of all the help and all the hospitals, and there's not help out there for these people. It's sad. My wife's in the audience right here. We have 2 autistic sons, okay? They can't make it on their own, but I shudder what would happen if her and I weren't here and they were on the street, because these people are getting kicked out. There's no medical treatment in Baton Rouge. They hand them methadone and they hand them some Narcan and they say, get back on the road. These people are sick. So for my thing, and I'm not talking sick in an ugly way, I'm talking they're mentally ill. They need help, and we need a psychiatric facility to serve these people.
Thank you so much. Okay, our next question, we're going to start with Ted, and this question is going to be on economic development. In your recent political campaign ad, you mentioned giving the biggest one-time donation to the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District at $250,000. So what is your vision for economic development in Baton Rouge, and how do you plan to attract and retain businesses in the city? How will you support and grow small businesses in North Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I think that we have to do more of investing in organizations like Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. That's the first thing, in terms of be it local funding or state funding that I was able to get appropriated. The second thing that we have to do is, of course, we're going to continue to work with the State Department of Economic Development and bringing on those large projects that we prioritize here in East Baton Rouge Parish. We also have to make sure that we are building a strong small business ecosystem. And what that means is three things. Number one, we know that many of the small businesses need the technical assistance, but way too often that assistance stops at, hey, this is what you need. We need more technical help. The second thing, we need more access to capital and not just loans, right? I did this for the last 2 years and it pained me because I know so many businesses that were paying the loan with the loan. We need to explore more grant funding for our small businesses. The third thing we need to do is for those small businesses that have contracts with the city, we have to pay them on time, right? It is a hindrance for a small business. I talked to a gentleman in here today. When they invoice, we have to pay those small businesses on time. One of the worst things that can happen to a small business is to get a contract, do the work, invoice, and wait and wait and wait to be repaid. That's a structural problem that we need to address. The last thing that I will say is I am going to employ a procurement academy because what I've watched at the SBA is our businesses get the certifications. That's the first part. But they don't know how to compete for a job. They don't know how to create the documentation that they need to be able to go out there and successfully respond to an RFP. So as a government, we're going to employ a 10-week procurement academy for those businesses that have the certifications.
Thank you. Champagne?
You know, I think Ted says it well when he says we've got to invest. We need to hire a team that's going to know writing grants like the back of their hand. I want them to be able to pull every grant. If there's a grant available for us, I want them to snatch it. I want them to be the first one in line to write that grant and say, hey, send it to Louisiana, send it to Baton Rouge. If we can get these businesses to grow, the whole community will grow. I mean, yes, I'm talking with Target right now and putting something over where Earl K. Long used to be. But at the same time, Target alone can't stand there by itself. It's got to have all the small businesses to go with it. And what I hope to see is that it's actually business from this community that opens up. I want this community opening businesses there because I think that's how we grow together and we grow even stronger and we tie our roots to Louisiana so we don't see as many people leaving Louisiana. So they take their degrees that they get here at Southern University and they come and they actually put a business here in Louisiana and it grows. And that's why we should also be supporting all these local businesses.
Thank you. Mayor Broom?
When I became mayor president, there had not been a disparity study done to look at the landscape of equity in our city and parish. All of these years, no disparity study. So with the help of the council, I was able to implement a disparity study. And it showed us what we thought it would show us, that there were a lot of gaps and disparities that existed, particularly with city-parish contracts. So after we passed the disparity study, then we went on to stand up an Office of Supplier Diversity. And now with one of our programs, specifically our Movie BR program, we have small businesses, minority businesses, women-owned businesses, over 27%. So we've gone from about 4% of minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned businesses now to 27%. So we're going to continue to lean in, elevate those goals. And many of those individuals who are part of our Movie BR and part of our supplier diversity program are right here in this community where we are right now.
Thank you. Coach Sid?
Well, right here in the 70805 and neighboring zip codes, in terms of new businesses, new small businesses and all that, who's signing up to come right now? Okay. And I think there's some things that can happen or that have to be fixed first to have businesses interested in coming in this area. So when you look at there, if you can't put the cart before the horse. Okay. We have a crime issue. It's very high in this area. Who's lining up to come start a small business in particular? And I'm talking about this neighborhood now. I'm talking about us. Okay. With the crime. That's not attractive. You look at the blight, it's not attractive. In North Baton Rouge, the average salary is $22,000 per household. Who can make it on that? They have an ALA score. What ends up happening at $22,000 per household, people are working 2 and 3 jobs to make it over here. But at $22,000 a household, how much business is that new business going to get? So this is layers and layers upon things that we've got to do. Some people will, here again, working 2 and 3 jobs. If not, then they're on help. But if they make too much money, okay, they get kicked off of the governmental help. So these people that are making 22 need to make 65. The blight, the crime, and all those things are, before we could economic development and building, those are the things that have to be addressed first.
Thank you, Coach Sid. Mr. Carter?
Economic development. Let's actually lead this time, Baton Rouge. Let's lead not just our state, the country. Artificial intelligence is upon us. I work in tech. Tech is wide open, and we're not pitching it enough to our children and grandchildren. There's not just the hardware side, there's the software side, there's servers, there's networking. You can teach it. It's many different things, automation. This is the wave of the future. Let's start a program right here at Scotlandville High. Let's start 90-day, 1 semester, 60-day, 30-day programs right at Southern University. Let's get the jump start. And when I say programs, you're coming out of these programs hired or hire ready. You know, these are some of the things that we have to do. Let's move the ball forward. When you get a 25-year-old making that kind of money and making 6 figures, and they're like, wait, all I had to do was touch a computer? You're gonna have a whole lot more tax dollars here. You're gonna have people that's gonna say, I wanna clean up my block. So that's what I would do. And that's what we're gonna do. Whoever is here come December, I'm willing to work with y'all on that. Holla at your boy.
Thank you. So I do want to note to the audience and to the candidates that we have reached the halfway point. So we've went through 4 questions plus 2 audience questions, and we will go through 6 more, and then we'll go home. Okay? So our next question, we're going to start with Coach Sid because you are the educator here, and this question is on education. What strategies will you employ to enhance the quality of education in North Baton Rouge schools? And how will you address the disparities that exist?
Wow, right here in North Baton Rouge, I'm looking at the school state scores, okay? And I don't want to say wrong, but just about every one of our high schools are at an F score. Where our average ACT, where I'm at right now, is at a 13. And a lot of it has to do with coming up, the family unit, and is school a priority. The absentee rates, the truancy is incredible. And I know Mr. James will speak on this, the early childhood education and the stuff he's pushing, in terms of kindergarten and everything else. I think that the city certainly has to partner with the local school board. Lamont Cole has been hired as the new superintendent of East Baton Rouge Parish Public Schools, and I think he's going to be a rock star. I think he's got a vision and he's a winner, and I look forward to partnering and working with him. But I think when you look at the school, because a lot of people say, well, it's a teacher deal, it's a teacher shortage. Well, it's all that as well. Okay, but being in it, having the boots in the ground in the educational system, a whole lot more early education initiatives and preparing these kids as they come through. And I think we get a lot of questions like, why is it an F school?
Thank you, Coach Sid. Thank you. Mayor Broom, we're going to come to you now.
So when I became mayor, one of the first things that I did was to convene a meeting with our East Baton Rouge Parish school system and our Metro Council. Why? Because although the mayor's office and the Metro Council theoretically does not have jurisdiction over the school system, we certainly have a vested interest. That was one of the best meetings that we had. And out of that meeting, we did have some tangibles. There was total agreement that we needed to focus on early childhood development and lean in on that. And even now, we are having conversations with our school system about truancy issues. But during that first term, one of the things that I did to lean in specifically was to stand up our Cradle to K initiative, an early childhood development program, which helped not only our students, but their parents. And in fact, it was something that we partnered with some of our faith-based communities with. And so we certainly have to lean in as the city parish with our educators to make sure that we're putting our children on a trajectory of success.
Thank you. Champagne?
Our education system is failing bad here. Of course, I know that firsthand. I moved here from Texas to come to school here in high school, where I realized in high school, y'all were just reading the Romeo and Juliet, the Necklace, the Odyssey. That's a 6th grade curriculum in Texas. If we're going to fix our curriculums, we've got to find out first where the problems are. We need to sit down with this and go item by item by item. We've got to get these Head Start programs in place now. That is, these kids don't deserve to be out there without a program. We pay too much in tax dollars for them to be sitting empty when we have empty buildings that are owned by the government here in our city that we could turn into Head Start programs. We have kids that are making it to the high school who's on a 3rd grade reading level because we've decided to put this program in place called No Child Left Behind. I'm sorry, if your child's not smart enough to make it to the 2nd grade, he sure shouldn't be there. Because you're only setting him up for success, your failure whenever you sit here and say, hey, you couldn't do the 1st grade curriculum, but hey, let me throw you in 2nd grade. But the problem also is that half the parents we're sending this homework home to don't understand it either. We've got to be able to help the parents, help the kids. Programs need to be put in place that these kids can go to get after school tutoring for the parents who don't understand the curriculum. It shouldn't be 100% on the parent, but it should be somewhat on the parent to make sure that child's getting up and going to school. We have to hold both accountable.
Thank you. Ryan? Yes, sir, I will. What strategies will you employ to enhance the quality of education in North Baton Rouge's schools, and how will you address the disparities that exist?
Okay. Well, to my understanding, when I met with the AFL CIO, teachers in East Baton Rouge are well underpaid, and they have not had a raise in X amount of years. We all in this room have achieved a certain level of success, and we all have a favorite teacher that we have coming up or in school, or a few of them. I know I sure do. It is vital that we keep our teachers here and not go to other parishes, which is what they do all the time. Right at Ascension, right at Livingston, we happen to lose them. That is something that we cannot do. So I would start there. I would also, when we talk to, I would also find ways to really continue motivating not just the teacher, but see, the teachers know their kids. They know their students. We have to find ways to keep that motivation going from grade school all the way through high school and beyond.
Thank you. Ted?
Yeah, we have to fix Head Start. The East Baton Rouge Parish school system has one thing that we could do to help them is send kids kindergarten ready, right? We have hundreds of kids sitting on waiting lists in our Head Start program today. We have been allocated a large percentage of dollars that we don't spend the full allocation. We need professional development for our teachers there. We need to deploy those kids that are on waiting lists to quality providers who are doing the work. Make sure that those kids are kindergarten ready. About a third of our kids score 0 in terms of kindergarten readiness when they get there. Our Head Start babies. We need to address that first. The second thing that I've talked about since I started this campaign, a literacy program. We will have a literacy program in the summer of 2025. Conversations with the school district have already started. I think we all agree that we just appointed a rock star as our next superintendent. Coach, I'm gonna be working with you to make sure that some of your players next summer are some job training skills, right? We have to do that in terms of high school to make sure that our kids are getting that technical assistance very early. We did it at Scotlandville, we start in 11th and 12th grade. We probably need to start in 9th and 10th grade to make sure that we're using summer youth money to make sure that they're getting those technical skills. When I talked about that down payment assistance that we're seeing in other communities, we should be offering that to teachers as well to address what Bad Business was talking about. And then we'll have some conversation with the legislators in terms of getting our teachers their pay raise. And I think all of those things collectively, we can improve the education landscape here.
Thank you, thank you. So our next question, we're going to start with Champagne, and this question is on community trust and mental health. What initiatives will you implement to build and maintain trust between Baton Rouge's police and residents of North Baton Rouge? With that, do you have any plans to address addiction and mental health challenges in the community, like building a long-term facility, since mental health often leads to incarceration?
You know, when it comes to building trust between citizens and officers, I'll be the first to say it's real hard to do so when we have officers that are out here causing stuff like a Brave Cave. I can't expect you to trust an officer when this is blasted all over the media that we've got people being beaten to confessions. No one ever once went back and checked all this, to my knowledge, that they investigated every case that these 4 officers ever arrested somebody on. So we may have innocent people sitting in jail. So do I think we need to build our trust? Yes. We also need a mental health hospital too. We shouldn't be sending these people over there to the parish prison just because they are acting out. People that have a mental illness, such as a bladder infection, can cause mental health issues. They can lose their mind so bad. I know this firsthand from my grandmother. We would have to tie her to a bed to keep her from ripping stuff out of her arms and stuff. We've got to have a mental health hospital. The old woman's hospital should have been a mental health hospital. It should have never been a police station. These people do not move out the way just because they put on the lights and sirens so that they can respond in a faster time. There needs to be small substations for them, and there needs to be a mental health hospital that we can take these people to instead of putting them in a cell at the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison where they can still harm themselves because it's not a padded cell. It's just one made of concrete where they're put in their butt naked and said, here, live like that.
Thank you. Ryan, you're next, and I'm going to repeat the question because it was long.
Yeah, that's a
So,
two-part question.
what initiatives will you implement to build and maintain trust between Baton Rouge's police and the residents of North Baton Rouge? Generally, how do you plan on addressing addiction and mental health challenges in our community, since mental health often leads to incarceration?
Well, I can tell you just from being a resident at the Salvation Army, every night I don't know what I'm gonna get. I don't I don't know if somebody's gonna have nightmares up underneath me or next to me, and this has happened. I don't know if I don't know if there's gonna be any type of fight, which when I'm there, I don't let that happen. But it's mental health is a major issue. If you if you're the bus terminal on Florida is a perfect example, you know. And right out here, right before we came over the hump, there was a lady laying on the bench. I don't know if y'all seen her. Right out here by the bank. As soon as you cross the hump, there was a lady just laying on the bench. So mental health issues is a major problem. I see it in the shelters every day. We are seriously underfunded when it comes to that. So I'm all for some type of facility that we really need to promote, because you have lack of opportunity for people like myself, but you also have mental health issues for people who are also there. So as far as police, now that's a big question, but you got to find a way to. It's certain things I would do, like picnics in the park where everybody's invited, get to know who's actually policing your community. It's gonna be that's gonna be the toughest task.
Okay, thank you. That's your time, Mr. Carter. Mayor Broom.
So when I came in office, one of our primary concerns was what you just shared, and that is the gap that existed between our law enforcement and the citizens of our community. We're talking about a culture that is hundreds of years old with our police department. We were talking about reforming and changing and shifting a culture. And that didn't happen overnight, and the correction doesn't happen overnight, the reform. But we have made some strides, we have made some progress under Chief Murphy Paul and now under Chief Morris. And so we have to keep leaning in and working on those reform issues. We've done that through policy changes. But in addition, we've also been, and when I say we, the police department has been in the community. They have not been void of being in the community. Most recently, Chief Morris started a Chiefs Youth Advisory Council. I think that is a direct connection with the community. As it relates to mental health, I will tell you, with your help, we were able to get the Bridge Center established in 2018, a mental health stabilization system, but we need more in terms of long-term care.
Thank you so much. All right, Coach Sid.
Yeah, I've already spoke on the mental health deal and how I feel about that and the need for a really, really state-of-the-art facility for those people. But speaking of the police department, we have good policemen in Baton Rouge. Sometimes all you hear is the negative, okay? And you know, one bad apple can spoil the whole cart, right? But we have a good crew. When I become mayor or president, we're going to get 100 new police officers, great people, and we're going to put them on the street. And that's not to go arrest everybody. What's happened with our police department, they're just responding to calls now. So all they're seeing is the gore and the crazy stuff that, I mean, something's called in and they got to go. We have a shortage of those young men and women in that department. So there's no community policing. So imagine if we had another 75 to 100 new great officers on the street that can indeed do true community policing. And I just, to me, that's a very important part. Out of Struma High School, Chief Morse did a wonderful thing a week ago. He brought some of it was the top brass of the department, but a lot of police officers, and we put all the kids in the gym and had a pep rally with about 20 police officers. And they got to know the kids, and they got to dance with the kids, and they got to play with the kids. And so much more of that is what's needed to build, and that comes back to the community, to build that trust. A question was asked, how many of you fear the police? And almost every hand went up.
Thank you,
Something
Coach
to be
Sid.
concerned.
Ted James.
I think it's a combination of all of the things that you all have heard. You know, I have filed more police reform bills than any two people in the state legislature. We also need accountability when there are issues with law enforcement, right? There are laws on the books. We need accountability. It is hard to ask the community to trust when you see issues that happen that sometimes get swept under the rug. I think it's hard to go out in the community and say, when you see something, say something. And when there are issues that happen with some of those bad apples, there's a code of silence. So you can't say to the community, say something when issues happen with your fellow law enforcement brother, and you don't, and there's a code of silence. I will agree with Coach that those instances are few. And we have some dynamic officers. Those officers need to get paid more. I know the mayor has worked on that. We also have to make sure that when we talk about mental health training, it's not just for our officers when they encounter folks with mental health. We need to increase the mental health training of our officers for the stressors that they deal with by being BRPD officers and constables and sheriff's officers. We have to expand with what we were able to do with the Bridge Center, right? It's here. It needs an expanded model. There are so many conversations in that commercial you mentioned. We talked about a new prison, and we talked about a new juvenile facility. In that, you have to have resources that address those individuals that are brought in with mental health issues. And I think we can also better utilize.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you. All right, this next question is on innovation, and we're going to start with Ryan. But before we get to that next question, I would like to make sure that the candidates stay on target. The people are here to learn about your platform and your policies that you will implement, okay? So, innovation. Given the rapid pace of technological advancement and the need for cities to stay competitive in the global economy. How do you plan to foster innovation within our city? Specifically, what best practices will you implement to expand opportunities for entrepreneurship, workforce development, and equitable access to emerging industries?
Okay, well, I think I touched on that a bit when I spoke about these programs that we can bring to Southern University, Scotlandville. I spoke on that briefly, speaking to North Baton Rouge, and I would definitely like that to start here. But that's what I would do. It's like I said, artificial intelligence is here. There's no getting away from it. IT is going to be the way for into forevermore, until something else comes along. So I would definitely work on like boot camps, having those coding boot camps here. And they can be right at the school. They don't need to be, we don't need to build new places for that. So coding boot camps where we teach how to work on how to code, how to do application servers, networking and stuff like that. I would definitely start with IT because that's going to be the wave of the future. That job isn't going anywhere. That's where I would start.
All right, Ted, you're next.
Yeah, I think it's multiple fronts. We have to utilize the beautiful university we're in today and the other university, Louisiana State, our flagship, as well as BRCC. I talked earlier about our workforce component, and currently we don't have an economic development professional. We need an economic development professional in the mayor's office to make sure that we are aligning our economic development arm and our workforce arm. We have to make sure that we are actually training on the workforce side for the industries that we are recruiting on the economic development side. We can't do that if the two entities aren't speaking to one another. We also have to look at one of the emerging industries that are in the state. The Committee of 100 released a report that the growing and the leading job producing is in the health industry, right? So we have to start being very, very intentional about our training to make sure that we are training for the jobs that are here. We also have to make sure that we are spending time with the economic development professionals at both of our major universities to engage with our young people to make sure that in those recruitment efforts, we are recruiting those emerging industries. You see EV charging stations, right? We need to start recruiting there. The federal government, there are millions and millions of dollars in grants for urban forestry, right? They are encouraging cities across the country to improve their urban forestry footprint. We are in a university today that has an undergrad, master's, and PhD program in urban forestry. Tap into the young students here at Southern University for recruiting and research, and then those will lead to job opportunities.
Thank you so much. Mayor Broom.
As I may have shared a little earlier, we have invested $150,000 in the Southern University School of Business to promote entrepreneurship. We've also done the same thing at LSU. And I have to tell you that I do firmly believe that our entrepreneurial community here is one of the strengths of our city and our parish. But we also do have to look at the wave of the future, which is indeed healthcare, which is indeed technology. So when I look at businesses like IBM, we have opportunities through IBM to have interns that go there. When I look at opportunities within city parish government, we have opportunities where we bring interns in. We have hired over 318 interns since I have been in office in city parish government. But we have to tap into our existing economies right here in the city parish. That's why I'm glad about the partnership that Exxon has with the North Baton Rouge Industrial Initiative. That, coupled with a partnership with BRCC, is producing some tremendous job opportunities for our residents right here in Baton Rouge in the industry of oil and gas.
Thank you. Champagne.
One of the local ways that we could, you hear me say this a lot, it's all about the community and working together. Work together. That's all I'm saying. It's just the simplest message that we can put out there is working together, because we don't want these people to leave once they get these educations. Why aren't we offering them a job? Set it up where our unemployment office works with these colleges to where these people get a paid internship. Because there's jobs over here that can't get filled at the unemployment office. We'll cure two problems. We'll lower our unemployment rate. We get these interns into these jobs. They get there, they like it, they more than likely stay. Same as we could be using LSU, for instance. They have a vet school. Why can't we offer low-cost vets and use the interns as the doctors so that way that people can afford to have a pet? Then we don't have a population overflowing over there. We have to learn how to turn our businesses into businesses in Louisiana. That is the problem. Our government is so used to taking from us, they forgot how to make money themselves. We've got some of the smartest people that were business people that went into these offices, but they forget their business sense once they get there. We just need to remind them of who they are.
Thank you, Coach Sid.
Yeah, I think it starts with the education piece. Southern University, LSU, BRCC. There's a tremendous amount of trade schools and other learning environments, all the way down to high school and middle school and elementary school in terms of the technology piece. Certainly, if something was, if it's offered like that, it's something I certainly would have to take. Okay, when you look on the stage and you look at technology, I'm not a technology freak. Okay, but I know, where the world's at, like Ryan's talking about with AI and where we're headed. That part being part of the education piece. In terms of the development, and if you had places, industry and all that, they're a great place in North Baton Rouge is what I call the Choctaw Extension or the Choctaw Industrial Park. Okay, if you go all the way down Choctaw, there's businesses that people in Baton Rouge don't even know that are there. I'm trying to get them to sponsor my football team. I just can't get in the door because you don't even know they're there. But that would be a beautiful corridor to build these places and every type of industry you could get. And that's a vision of mine, is making that Choctaw area the Choctaw Industrial Corridor. And that's it. I don't have too much more on that, my man, business.
Okay, so we have two more questions, but the last question I'm actually going to allow you to give your closing remarks when we get to it. The audience want to know what your legacy will be once you are elected. So before we get to that question, though, we're going to go into educational opportunities and retaining graduates. And so we're going to start with Ryan. As mayor, how would you increase educational opportunities for all residents in Baton Rouge, particularly in underserved communities? Additionally, with many college graduates leaving the city after earning their degrees, what strategies would you implement to retain this talent, ensuring that Baton Rouge remains attractive for young professionals to live and work after graduation?
Well, the education part, we know that starts from small. But what would I do? Like I said, I want to be one of those guys, the mayor, to go into these high schools and talk to these kids that are about to enter adulthood and let them know, like I said, reiterate to them that this is their city. This is something for them to uphold, take care of, and I want to see them running it in 10, 20 years. So what would I do with that? What was the second part? I'm sorry.
With many college graduates leaving the city after earning their degrees.
Definitely with college graduates, we have these career fairs every few months. And how many people are actually being hired right from Southern and LSU? I would blast that all over the news. Hey, look, we had such and such company here, whether it be Exxon or whomever, and we had all of these students, 4,000 or however many come. How many are actually going to be hired right from here, from that went to Southern, that went to LSU, BRCC, and are in the parish? So I would start there with the career fairs, because I think that's a game that's been played on us. Because I ain't never got hired from a career fair, and I've been to plenty of them.
Thank you. Ted?
Get myself together after that one. I think that, I spent some time yesterday here with some Southern University students, and I see a couple of them here. And I talked to them about the College of Engineering here. and the DPW department here in East Baton Rouge Parish, and externship opportunities, because I hear that way too often our students are having difficulty passing the professional engineering exam. That creates an opportunity in my mind, because an internship versus an externship, the externships gives them the opportunity to get the technical and the practical experience that you can't learn in a book. It also shows our young people that the city parish is willing to invest in their success. So in turn, they will be more excited about staying in East Baton Rouge Parish. What I also think that it will invite is opportunities for those students to work not just with the city, but also with some of the major engineering firms across this parish that are doing a lot of the work. We have to address quality of life things that young people want too. Those young people talk, we want to see more excitement downtown. You can't talk about retaining young people if you have a downtown that has no excitement. We talk about beautiful green spaces. Coach mentioned that green spaces, walkable communities. We have to create more of those in East Baton Rouge Parish, because those are the things that young professionals are looking for, young families are looking for in terms of just the aesthetic beauty of the community. Do a better job cutting the grass, picking up the trash. Those are things that those young people told me on yesterday.
Thank you, Mayor Broom.
About a week ago, I had the privilege of hosting the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative Conference. We had over 150 mayors and business people who were here. The first place that I brought them was here to Southern University, on the bluffs of Southern University. It was almost like a setup. I mean, it was so beautiful up here. The sunset, then the moon was clear, and we were at the Tarver Center. Well, that's part of my vision when we talk about quality of place, is that we have to utilize our assets, and our Mississippi River is an asset. So I want to see that Mississippi River development take place, and I want it to start right here on the bluffs of Southern University. Then we will go downtown, and we will have a center there downtown that we will develop. In fact, we've already had some preliminary designs from people at at LSU. And so then we're going to go all the way out to Nicholson. The city owns property there, and I do think that with the input from the community, we can see a wonderful community park developed there. But we're going to use that as one of our assets to keep our young people here, to retain them, to develop placemaking here in our city and in our parish.
Thank you, Champagne.
I watched a movie one time that said, if you build it, they will come. That's what we need. We need to build a nightlife here. We need to build an infrastructure that the young kids enjoy. Something that will entertain the nightlife, but yet not bring us more crime. Stuff that we would also enjoy, that we could, have a river walk or something. I know Louisiana is horrible about wanting to change their laws. They love the Napoleonic laws. But let's be blunt and let's be real. There's one law in the books that when it comes to education, it still, I don't understand why it's still there. In this country, I can't join the military till I'm 18. I can't do anything else till I'm 18. But I can quit school at 16. We did that so they could work on the farm with their families. We don't have to have that problem no more. We have machinery for it. We need to change that law, because if we make it to where these kids stay that extra 2 years, how many lives will we change by them staying there just 2 more years? How many more will actually get that graduation rate? We need to go back and start these Head Start programs. We need to get in there and work with these kids, and we need to make education the first priority. Once we get our education fixed, we'll see them stay, because they'll actually be the ones owning the businesses, because they'll have the education to know how to do it.
Thank you, Coach Sid.
The retaining of our graduates and keeping them here in the capital city is not going to happen until we clean up the city. It's not going to happen until we get a handle on crime. It's not going to happen until we get rid of the blight. People don't want to stay here right now. Let's face it, why are they leaving? Because they don't want to stay here. And if we don't get it's not a simple concept, but it's the same thing we're hammering home. You've got to get a hold of that. And also as well as, when jobs do come open or contracts do come open and everything comes open, do people of Baton Rouge get a fair shake? Do they really get a fair shake at an opportunity? So if you're applying for a job, it's who you know, all the way from the top of the government, all the way down to who you know at the pack-a-sack when you're trying to get a Snickers. That's how it is. And until that is cleaned up and the hand of God comes over it and we fix this thing, they're going to keep leaving.
Thank you. And so we're going to end with our last audience question of the night. If elected at the end of your term as mayor, what legacy do you hope to leave? Each candidate will have 2 minutes to give their closing remarks. Okay? So if elected at the end of your term as mayor, what legacy do you hope to leave? We're going to start with Mr. Carter.
Well, man, you talk about a wonderful story. Humble beginnings. I've had the new car. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't always struggling. I'm a Southern University graduate. Mass comm class of 2000. My degree say 08, but my last class was 07. But I've had the new cars, the new houses. I've had that, and I've lost it all. I had to go to the bottom, being homeless, carless, jobless, sleeping out of my car for months at a time, seeing Walmart. They had gotten so used to me, they knew my name. They're like, oh, that's Mr. Carter. He ain't gonna do nothing but sleep in the parking lot. That's it. It's very emotional for me. Oh, because it's been a long road. But I am part of what is truly the American dream in the flesh. Retold in a sense. I come from that. I come from wonderful people. I can stay with family, but I only know how to be on my own because I've been on my own since I came here in 2004, spring of 2004. I lived right across the street in the villa, and they didn't look like that back then. So, I had the bugs, and when it got cold, I had some bigger bugs, but man, perseverance. I'm running for mayor for those people who not just are at the top, because I respect all of your accolades, but also for the ones who are a paycheck away from losing everything. That's me. That's business. And not voting for business ain't nothing but bad business.
Thank you. Coach Sid.
I would say when my legacy ends as mayor president, I really want to be viewed as the mayor president that brought Baton Rouge together. Like I said, just in my coaching profession and what I do, I term myself a turnaround specialist, a healer, a unifier, absolutely a leader. And I want people to have to be able to look back and said, man, this is the new Baton Rouge. Look what he's came in. Look what he's been able to accomplish. And we say we it's hard to ever say we in team. It takes a complete team for that legacy to take place. Because if anybody in the audience could sit up here and say, oh, we're all as one, we're one Baton Rouge, that's a lie. It's not happening. And that don't fall on the feet of the current mayor president. It don't, okay? It's just, it's what it is. We're divided. Our country's divided right down the middle. And that'll lead me into Republicans versus Democrats. How many Republicans are in the House? I'm alone. I'm all by myself. Let me say this. I'm going to ask you, for me to get that legacy going, when you go to the polls, and everywhere I go, I ask, please don't look Republican or Democrat. Please don't. And please don't look black or white. Don't look Catholic or Baptist. When you go to bed, and I don't know, this is some really good people up here, but I want you to vote for me. But what I'm saying is when you go to bed at night and you pray about what decision I'm going to make, really think about it and find out who's real. I am not a politician. I'm a regular man. I am the man for the people, and I believe I'm ordained to do this job. And what my legacy, when it's all said and done, is going to be that ball-headed coach brought Baton Rouge back together again.
Thank you. Mr. Ted James.
Sitting here on the bluff is always special to me because my parents met on this campus, and I didn't have a choice. I was mandated to come here by birth, not because they told me, by birth. And I look at just this opportunity as a native son of Baton Rouge, and there's no, my legacy is not important. I'm not in this race for me. And when you look at the race as it stands today, I agree that we need a unifier. I stand before you as a candidate being criticized on both sides because I have support from both sides. And I don't take that lightly. And it's because of the record of service that many of you know I have in this community. This race is about me asking you to ask yourself a question. Is your community better off after the last 4 or 8 years? So our legacy after my first term is not being the community that talked about, oh, we send our business folks to canvass another city. No, folks are gonna start canvassing East Baton Rouge Parish. We're not gonna keep talking about young people having to choose between home in Baton Rouge and opportunity other places. We're going to really dive into our resources. I've traveled this country and I've gone to communities and they are taking off. And they don't have an LSU, a Southern, a BRCC. They're not the state capital. They don't have a downtown on the river, but they have leadership and vision. That's why they're taking off. So when you ask me about a legacy, it's not about a legacy for Ted James. It's about a legacy for the city that made Ted James. It's about a legacy for each one of you all. And in 4 years, when I ask you the question, is your community better off? Our legacy will be that our answer will be different from our answer today. It will be yes. I humbly ask for your vote and support. I'm Ted James and I'm number 38 on your ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Champagne.
You know, entering this race, I had several of my friends tell me I was crazy. Of course, the first thing they pointed out was the elephant in the room. You're trans. They're going to eat you alive. Yeah, I'll admit it. I have received several death threats. But you know what I had to say to them? Don't make me wash this makeup off and show you the true thug. I got in this race because I want my city to be the best city in this country. I deal with people on a daily basis. I walk face to face with people every day. I've never had one problem in my streets being disrespected. Because that's not the kind of community I live in. The kind of community I live in is one that wants to help their neighbor. When they see somebody in trouble, what do? We go get bottles of water after a hurricane. We help them. Hey, here you go. And I know that with our community, the way it is right now, it's rough right now. We're struggling. But I also know that the community I live in, we have the chance to really go after our dreams here together and build this city back to a fabulous city. We've got a great stage downtown to entertain. Every weekend we should have something down there. We paid for it. Why not? Today, everybody up here on this stage has sat here and told you what we have as problems. Some came with solutions, some did not. But there's no reason why everybody on this stage can't work together to make Baton Rouge great. No matter who wins this seat up here, if one of these people have a great idea that we know we can make Baton Rouge great with, go back to them, sit down with them, do lunch, say, hey, I may not have won the seat, but let's work together.
Thank you. Mayor Broom.
I want to thank you all for curating this space for us to engage tonight. It has been very insightful on every level. But I have to tell you that when I think back about the past 8 years, I think about the challenges, but I also think about the successes because I've learned a lot. It's all about perspective. Do you see the glass as half full or half empty? And I see Baton Rouge has the potential to be the greatest mid-sized city in America. We're working on our infrastructure, one of the largest projects. We're working on addressing our challenges around blight, investing millions of dollars, putting our homeless into affordable housing, investing money into developing grocery stores where food deserts exist. But you know, we've also, and someone alluded to it, we've also had challenges. I mean, last week it was Hurricane Francine, then we had a pandemic. But the truth is, during every challenge and during every triumph, I have been front and center as your mayor president. I have the experience, I've laid the foundation, and I'm building on that foundation. And you can see the progress around our city and our parish. My predecessor had the opportunity to complete 3 terms. I put equity into the fabric of this community. I want to finish the job I started, and that's why I'm asking you to allow me to be reelected to my last 4 years. It's not about a legacy for Sharon Weston Broome. It's always about my care and concern for the people of this city and parish. God bless you.
Thank you. So I will ask our candidates to remain on stage, but with that being the conclusion of our questions, could you please give a round of applause for the candidates, please? Tonight, we've had a lot of question answered about innovation, about educational opportunities, about infrastructure, about community trust and crime. And we have a great set of candidates here. Whoever gets this job will be a great job, and we will also be a great partnership with Baton Rouge North Economic Development, the Black Chamber, and so forth. What we will do now is we will have closing remarks, so please stay seated and we will wrap up shortly. Thank y'all for having me. I'm gonna step off the stage now.
Thank you again to our candidates, to everyone that has come out today. I am April Hawthorne, the Executive Director for the Baton Rouge North Economic Development District. And I did hear that we have some elected officials in the room tonight. I would also like to acknowledge our Councilwoman, Carolyn Coleman. You would please stand. Any of our other city council members? I see Terica Williams, our city constable. Representative Barbara Carpenter, I think she was in the room. Yes, ma'am, thank you. Representative Denise Marcel, because there was an event over there at the Southern Law Center tonight, correct? Yes. Representative LaFleur is here tonight. Thank you. Representative Edmund Jordan, the chair for the Black Caucus. Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Oh, Ebony Johnson. Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. So for our closing remarks, I'm gonna have Bradford come up with the Power Coalition, who is also one of our sponsors tonight. And then we will end our session, and you will hear from our Metropolitan Black Chamber President, Lakeisha Robichaux. Thank you.
I hope everybody had a good day. My name is Brad with the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice. The Power Coalition, we are a nonprofit organization that focuses on trying to make voter education as easily digestible as possible, just for communities and cities around Louisiana. And one of the ways we do this is by printing out sample ballots. And we do encourage people to vote down ballot for all of the proposed amendments, as well as all of the candidates, based on your discretion. And another tool that we like to use is cards, very easy to see. And it has a lot of the election dates just to let you know when the early voting is, the election day itself, and also when registering to vote ends and closes. Thank you for having me here. And I do encourage everybody to go out and encourage other people to go out and vote.
Thank you, Quincy, and thank you to everyone who attended tonight's forum. We've heard valuable information from our candidates, and I hope this forum has helped you gain a clearer understanding of the future of North Baton Rouge. Your participation is very crucial. Now, before we wrap up, I want to make sure that all of you have a flyer. We handed out flyers. This is a reminder. We have QR codes to make sure that you go and register online. Also, if you're not sure if you're registered to vote, please, by all means, go and look at the inactive voter list. Make sure that your name is not on there. You may know someone, their name is on there. Let them know. Your voice matters. You have the right to vote, and you need to activate that. Also, you can connect with all of our sponsors, all of the chambers. We have a QR code for that. Please, we want to stay in contact with you. I would also like to extend another round of thanks to all of our sponsors and vendors, Southern Strategy Group, Fidelity Bank, Power Coalition, Chief of Minds, Alpha Phi Alpha, to our organizers, Baton Rouge North Economic Development District, North Baton Rouge Chamber of Commerce, the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce, Power Coalition, the Southern University Political Science Division, Chief of Minds, our vendors, KQP Media and Lenae's Pralines, and the National Association of University Women. Now, as we approach Election Day, I encourage you to bring someone with you to the polls. If you have a friend, a neighbor, an elderly family member, if they're not a family member, please take someone with you to the polls to vote. It is important. Again, activate your right, your voice matters, and your vote matters. Now, early voting begins on October 25th, and it runs through November 1st. So if you don't like the crowds, make sure you get out there and vote early. The general election date is on November 5th. And then also, again, this is how we're going to shape the future of our community in North Baton Rouge. Just so you all know, in the back, we definitely want to thank again Lenae's Pralines. Make sure that you stop by the table there. You can pick you up some pralines, and also visit with Power Coalition. You can check and go ahead and register to vote if you need to, and also look at the inactive member list. And that is it. Thank you again, and have a great evening. We appreciate all of you. And our candidates here, please stay on stage. We definitely want to make sure that we get a photo with you, so please stay put. Oh, and can we have all of our organizers and volunteers